This is the Sony Xperia 5 Mark II, and I love it. I mean, I can say that this is the first time I've made such a claim about any Sony phone ever. I have for long not been a fan of Sony smartphones. Their displays, they felt inferior. The sharp edges made it uncomfortable to hold them and use them. The software was a mess, and their cameras, while the sensors were great on phones from other manufacturers, their own implementations left a lot to be desired. And of course, the pricing wasn't all that flattering either. So why do I love the Xperia 5 Mark II? Well, it's because I've not used Sony phones for a while, and when I started this unboxing, I had every intention of, disliking another Sony phone. But every single issue that I've mentioned in my older videos, Sony seems to have addressed them all. And honestly, this feels like one of the best flagship phones out there. The Xperia 5 Mark II, it's amazing, and here's why. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see in this video, thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. So now this here is the box the Xperia 5 Mark II comes in. Pretty bland, a perfect case of don't judge a book by its cover. To the back, we have the highlights: triple 12 megapixel cameras, 8 megapixel selfie, 6.1-inch OLED, 4000 mAh battery, 865 IP68 certifications, Zeiss, micro SD. Now, we will take a look at all of this in detail soon. Cutting through the plastic, opening up the lid, oops, that's a little promotional leaflet. Here's the Xperia 5 Mark II. Let's peel that protective cover off, and it feels great in hand. This here's the quick start guide. It's not in English since I imported this phone from Hong Kong via 28mobile.com. They have a great selection of phones, so if you haven't checked them out, do check them out. Now returning to the box, we have earphones. It's been a while. Replaceable tips, in-ear buds. And yes, that means the headphone jack's still around. There's an 18-watt travel adapter followed by a USB Type-C cable. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, for a brand that provides earphones in the box, isn't it weird that Sony's not included a SIM tool? And no, I did not miss it, not this time at least. Now, the reason why there is no SIM tool is because this SIM tray can be pulled out by hand. That is refreshing and nice. There's memory expansion here in the form of a hybrid slot. The headphone jack and secondary mic are located up top. The right's kind of overloaded. First we have the volume keys, then a power key with a fingerprint scanner built in. Now don't worry, this is more of a Zenfone kind of scenario where the display is OLED, but the brand has decided to go with an under-display. Have decided to not go with an under-display fingerprint scanner. For what it's worth, this one is fast, seemed to work well. Now this is followed by a dedicated unmappable Google Assistant key that I absolutely hate. Now given there's so much happening to this side, it was very easy for me to accidentally trigger Google Assistant by pressing this key, whether I was taking a call or, so that is basically what kept happening to me, which is why I absolutely hated it. But the next key over here, this is something I absolutely adore. This is a two-stage shutter key, so half press to focus, press all the way down to shoot. It is so very useful. Sony has had this forever, and I'm really happy they've not cut it out to fit in with the crowd, right? It puts more emphasis on the shooting experience, and I find it very handy. Now to the bottom, we have the USB Type-C port and primary microphone. So what about the speaker, you ask? Well, there are two, and they are present above and below the display. So front firing, there is no punch hole or notch here. Sony seems to have given up on making the phone shorter, because with this aspect ratio, the phone's gonna be tall anyway. So why bother with punch holes or notches? And I'm perfectly okay with that, because the uninterrupted display here, it's gorgeous. It is one of the best displays I've used all year. It just blew me away, and that is in part because I went in with very little expectations. I've never been a fan of Sony's panels, whatever it is that they've used, but here this OLED, it absolutely shines. It's not the brightest panel out there, but you're not going to really notice it unless you are under the harshest midday sun. But apart from that, it's got excellent color reproduction, an array of color profiles to tweak, perfect viewing angles, and a lot of pop in general. It is worth noting that there's a lot of content for 16:9 devices. So with this 21:9 panel, the Xperia 5 Mark II ends up displaying black bars to the sides. Now, the front and back, it's worth noting, are covered by Corning's Gorilla Glass 6. And talking about the back, this is where we find this triple camera array, and that's a topic we'd get to in a jiffy. The back is one uniform color, no flashy gradients. The Gorilla Glass 6 Plus curved metal sides make this very smooth to hold in hand and also very slippery. But the narrow width here does help counter that by making this phone easy to use. Now here, let me cut to a short clip from my iPhone 12 mini unboxing. The narrower the display, the easier is it to wield in one hand. And the 12 mini happens to be one of the narrowest phones you're going to find today, flagship or otherwise. Now to give you some perspective, the 12 Pro Max, it's 78.1 millimeters wide, Note 20 Ultra, 77.2, S20 Ultra, 76, the OnePlus 8T, 74.1, and the iPhone 12 mini, it's just 64.2 millimeters wide. The Xperia 5 II slots somewhere between at 68 millimeters, so it's still plenty narrow. Of course, it is a much taller display, being 21:9. Reaching the top left is definitely not easy. As a compromise, Sony does allow pulling down the notification shade by swiping from anywhere on the home screen, and they have side sense. You get this window when you tap twice to the edge, and from here you can do a bunch of things, including, yes, you guessed it, one-handed mode. You can also choose to access multi-window from here. You can even bring it up via gestures, like swipe down on the SideSense area and boom, we have multi-window. There are preset app combos for you to pick, and the SideSense window itself can be customized. Different sizes, what apps get shown, and if you want, you can even access the entire app drawer from here. It's very nifty. By the way, this here is minimally skinned Android 10, and it runs flawlessly thanks to the Snapdragon 865 chip, which is paired with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of onboard storage. The changes Sony has added are minimal and very useful, just like SideSense we saw. But actually, the majority of Sony's changes, the software changes, they've put in the work for optics. And that is what makes the Xperia 5 II one of the most compelling phones this year. The standard camera app is pretty much what we come to expect. There are no surprises. It's got the bokeh option, lets you choose between primary, ultra wide and telephoto. But go into modes and you have this Photo Pro. And this adds an extreme number of options, which should instantly be familiar to anyone who's used a Sony mirrorless or even a point and shoot in recent times. It lets you set focus, shoot RAW and JPEG at once, adjust metering, and given Sony are borrowing the software experience here from their own accomplished camera segment, the features, they're all useful. They aren't there just to make up the numbers. Similarly, we have a Cinema Pro app. This again gives you a lot of features for shooting video, and it even lets you shoot 4K 120 FPS slow motion. Okay, so the software features are all good, but what about the images themselves? All three cameras perform very well here. The primary is paired with the f1.7 lens, has dual pixel autofocus, and the lens is stabilized. As you can see, the images, they turn out rich, pretty impressive. The secondary ultra wide again matches the colors of the primary. It matches them very well and still remains detailed. This has dual pixel autofocus too. The third camera, this has a telephoto lens allowing for 3x optical zoom. Pretty impressive. There is optical stabilization at play here too. Do note that there is no dedicated night mode, but the camera still performs well under low light. Now, other things worth noting include the 120Hz refresh, which makes everything super smooth. The gaming experience especially, I am very bullish about it. We have top-of-the-line specs, a beautiful high refresh rate display, stereo speakers. This is not an Android game though, this is me playing via the Xbox app. It was pretty solid indoors. So cameras, comfort and gaming, it seems to be an excellent all-rounder, this phone. One with a headphone jack nonetheless. Oh yeah, almost forgot, 4000 mAh battery is what we get on the inside, 0 to 50 in about half an hour with the included 18-watt charger. This phone does support up to 21-watt charging though, that charger is sold separately, but honestly, I don't know why anybody would pay extra and buy a charger for just 3 watts. So overall, if it wasn't evident by my tonality throughout this video, I am very much impressed. It all started with me popping a SIM in and taking it out just to check if the Xperia still reboots when you do that. And seeing it not reboot, that put a smile on my face, and I've been smiling ever since. No, not in that creepy way. No. I need to find a new editor. Now, jokes apart, I've never been warped by a Sony phone, and the Xperia 5 Mark II, it's changed that. This could end up being one of my favorite phones for this year. I'll have more to say in my full review, and yes, there is gonna be a full review. And for now, it is not sold in India. It's priced at $900 globally though. For that price, I really like what Sony has to offer. So that has been the Xperia 5 Mark II. What do you guys think? Is this a phone that impresses you too? Especially given it's coming from a brand with almost a 0% mobile market share? Let me know via the comments below. And with that, we get to the end of this unboxing video, which, like Sony's displays, might have just gone on a little too long. I'll apologize for that, but not for Sony's displays though. They are awesome. Anyway, you know what to do. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about the video. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4 Retech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.